Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back, so let's get this started. What if Khan died instead of Nori? So the basis of this theory is rather simple. What if Uzi's father, Khan Doorman, died by the nanite acid tail from a disassembly drone instead of Nori? Originally, Nori was killed by an unknown disassembly drone from their nanite acid injection. However, in episode 7 Mass Destruction, it was revealed that Nori was actually still alive as her conscious awareness was able to be preserved in the squid core. We don't know much about these, but we do see more during episode 6 in the oven, so in this what if scenario, we will put Khan in place of Nori. Unlike Nori, Khan does not have access to the solver program, so even if he is transferred into a squid core, he will not be nearly as strong-willed as Nori was. However, that does not mean he won't be able to survive. First, we must go to the events of the pilot, where we are introduced to Uzi in our classroom. Then after going to nurse, she heads up to the worker drone colony to collect the final part of her greatest creation yet, her sick-as-hell railgun. Once she gets the final part, she encounters N, so these events would stay constant. She would run back to the base and will encounter her mother Nori instead. N would break in and start slaughtering dozens of workers, but will quickly be stopped by Nori with her solver, and it's more than likely that Nori will straight up kill N here instead of allowing him to roam, so an Uzi and N friendship would not be possible. Afterward, Nori would see V and J trying to kill more workers and would quickly and effortlessly dispatch both of them. If you want to argue Nori wouldn't be able to do it, then surely at least Uzi would be able to take one of them out, and my assumption is that it would still end up being J. After all three merge drones were killed, the events of Heartbeat would take place. Now we know in the original series of events, N's Thad and Uzi went into the base to investigate recent disappearances. But since N is dead, Nori, Thad, and Uzi would go and could encounter Eldritch J and Sin just like last time, and this time we have another solver wielder, and that's Nori, and her meeting with Sin would be an interesting fight. Nori would fight Sin, but it would prove to be far more difficult than her fight with the other three merge drones were, and her and Uzi might just end up retreating similarly to how N and Uzi went about it. Going into the promenading, Uzi would feel far less guilty than last time since she didn't lose a friend since N has been long dead in this scenario. The prom season would be in full swing, and unlike last time, there would be no V tied up in the space pod, and with no N, Uzi would effectively have no one to go with. But like Khan, Nori would chaperone and have Uzi go with Doll and Lizzie, and she would scream no, just like in the original scenario. However, one interesting thing to note, remember guys, in the what if V is dead. So with V dead, there will be far less of motivation for Doll to crash the prom. So that's good, right? Well, yes, but you're missing the bigger picture here. Remember how in the original scenario before murking V, she looked at a piece of paper in her hand that listed all of the prom attendees she was planning on killing? And thanks to Murphy, I can actually tell you the identities of these prom goers. Angela Palmer, Dylan Hall, Kelsey Day, which, by the way, that is the same girl who died in the episode intro, Kenzie Rivers, and Lanely Gilmore. So if anyone here is on the hit list, she still might go berserk, and if that happens, Uzi will have to fight her, just as she originally did, and would fare just about the same. And even if she were to lose, Nori could easily step in and defeat her. However, it's unlikely Nori would kill Doll since she is the daughter of Yeva and the two seem pretty close with one another, and if you still have doubt that Nori is aware that Yeva had a kid. During episode 7, when Nori is wondering about solver users, she says, Yeva's kid, I know. After this, they would all enter Doll's room to see both her folks killed, and Nori would be pretty sad by this to see her friend's body. Moving on to episode 4, Cabin Fever, in the beginning of the original episode, Khan was showing Uzi Nori's kooky insane closet full of all the predictions of the incoming attack of the Sky Demons. However, with Khan dead, Nori would probably tell Uzi more about her late father and how they both used to attend Camp 98.7. Upon arriving on the campsite, they would not have N and V as the camp leaders, since again they died much earlier on in this scenario, so they would likely not have to scout leaders, and without V and N there to lead, there would be essentially no sense of direction without the leaders. And if we assume Uzi still goes on a rampage on the air campers, Nori would quickly stop her, and the two would have a great opportunity to have a real heart-to-heart, since they are related and have the same solver, and was able to comfort Uzi pretty well. However, Nori would have a much deeper connection with her own daughter than N ever could. Following this was episode 5, Home, when Sin hacked into V and N and tried to delete the memories of the Gala Massacre, but since both V and N were killed early on, this episode's events become essentially impossible to occur. Moving on to episode 6, Dead End, Tessa, J, N, and V would be there ready to go underground. Since I think they would have been cloned just like J, and J did say that effective drones were cloned more, and while that is pretty vague, they, V, and N seem pretty effective to me, all things considered. Uzi would question how any of them survived, but Jay would give the exact same explanation as last time. Doll would steal the key bug and Jay would chase her down and attempt to stop her, but would be unsuccessful just like last time. They would all go underground in pursuit and everything should go as it originally did. Alice would kidnap them, and we will watch as our main characters try to fight off the Sentinels. before eventually becoming a victim of the Sentinels herself. In a very satisfying death since again, she is an awful person, or I guess a drone in this case. This leads us all the way to the point where V sacrificed herself and would still do so to allow the others to escape down to the Cabin Fever labs. Once they get down there, we would see N rage once again at the rocks and would be unsuccessful before getting spit up just like last time. To make this more simple, I'll say this now. Episode 7 will most likely play out like it originally did, since Khan did not play much of a role through the show, so replacing him with Nori would have the same effect. But on the surface, Nori would take the role of Khan in preparing for the end times, and would work alongside Thad and Lizzie preparing the railgun. However, it's unlikely that Uzi would have actually died in this what if. Remember, Uzi only survived when Tessa was about to kill her, because N stepped in and chopped her head off, and yes, N is alive again thanks to his backup, but he would not be able to reach Uzi since the reason he even found the lab in Uzi was thanks to Nori in her squid core form. But since she is on the surface, there would be no one to guide N to the lab, so with Uzi dead, the solver would reveal its true identity and essentially do exactly what it did in the original episode 7, and back on the surface, Jay would be standing around while she gets hit by the bus by Nori, and Thad and Lizzie would charge the railgun and give her flashbacks. After this, the episode would end similarly to how it originally did, and we would see the planet from space. In the end, this what if was very interesting, but at the end of the day, nothing changed much in the end. The only difference is that Khan is dead, and Nori's still alive, but is now in her original body, giving her a much higher combat advantage, but also Uzi was killed by Tessa, so I guess it was pretty big of a change. So this ends in a negative outcome. The main losses was of course Khan, but also N and Uzi's relationship would not been nearly as strong as it originally was, since Uzi is dead, and N had been dead for most of the show. Let me know down in the comments if you think Khan dying instead of Nori would have ended in a positive or a negative outcome.